So this is an interesting one. There's this girl that wrote this article, When Climate Change Melts Your Relationship. And I feel like it does sort of remind me of scenarios I've been into. And basically she got into this big fight with her fucking boyfriend. And she sort of had a realization moment. So it's actually sort of a win for the dude.
And he's a massive bitch too. That's the funniest part. It's like,
why do you think that?
Well, just because the whole thing is like not a massive bitch, but like, you know, he's a very pro-climate guy, too, who just ran into...
Oh, that you meant on that? I thought you meant, to her?
No,
you mean he's like, this guy's Mr.
He's just like, I'm
Environment.
fucking Mr. Eco. I'm like Captain Planet over here, and this
He
bitch
was
is trying to
Captain
one-up
Planet, but he
him.
also works in that industry. He wasn't so much just like some, like, you know, vegan, like, cuck that, like, works at a coffee shop.
I mean, he lives on a boat.
Yeah, but it said he actually, like, works in, like...
Yeah, he works for, like, some climate, like, charity.
That's his job, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So for her...
I mean, actually, that is more like...
For her to...
I'll tell you what, though. If when a girl's like, I'm the most climate person, I don't even litter and I do this stuff, you're like, so all of the stuff combined is nothing.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, a guy... If you actually care and you're like, hey, I work at, like, a fucking company that's trying to get CO2 out of the environment.
Totally.
I'm like, you're actually doing
something.
Yeah, that actually does do something.
But the fucking nerve of this chick to just be like, oh, you're not enough of a climate guy.
Everything was going great until I told him to dump his kerosene lamp for an LED. So this girl basically was reading the blog. She was getting hyped up. She was like, every little bit counts. We're all dying tomorrow. She goes, my boyfriend and I had been dating for 6 months when we had the biggest fight of our relationship over the carbon footprint of a kerosene lamp. We'd finished dinner in this cabin and of his sailboat, and we were about to begin a game to determine who would do the dishes. Doug stood up and banged his head on the kerosene lamp, and then blah, blah, blah. The kerosene lamp went everything. Da-da-da-da-da. I teased him about this for a little bit. I guess we should probably get a different lantern. I love this lamp, he said, leaning over me, and with a match, he relit the wick. I stumbled over some facts, and I started listening to this book on tape, and I thought I'd come away convincing him that the lantern was bad, and he sensed my hesitation, and I could hear the doubt in his voice when he said that this really doesn't seem dirty. So there's no soot, no smell, and I think it's fine.
But again, it's like you're talking about one single kerosene lamp.
I've been in this scenario. Honestly, I've been in this scenario over so many things. Like, the amount of times in my life I've just been like a big argument over a girl about like putting a fucking can in the garbage instead of recycling or some shit. And you're just like, this doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. No,
it's what you said. I think you've made this point where you're like, everything you're going to do for the next 10 years, take one less flight. Like, you know what I mean?
For sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I guess the flight thing's not the perfect analogy because the flight was going to happen whether you got on it or not. So maybe that's not the perfect one.
But that's not true because you're like
take the subway 10 times instead
of driving.
There you go. Instead of Uber, take the subway 10 times. It's like you probably saved the environment more walking to work like a few times.
Eat a carrot instead of a hot dog. I mean, there's a million fucking things you could do. But yeah, like sometimes you're like the benefit that you just enjoy from this lamp is
exactly.
Like, this isn't ending the earth.
No, it's just like, stop it.
Kerosene. But then he has this whole blow up.
So they get in this enormous fight. There's also that other side where it's like, tell me what you think of this. Because everyone always calls like Bill Gates a hypocrite because they go, well, you're on your private jet. That's like a big one, right? So all these guys care so much about the environment, but they're on their private jet, right? Mm-hmm. Their argument on that is they pay all this money to offset their jets. So they are operating at a net negative, and that's how they see it as like not hypocritical.
Yeah.
Which like, that actually doesn't sound that crazy on my end because you're like, well, this guy's a hypocrite because he's like, everyone should be net negative. He's like, well, I'm not a hypocrite because I am net negative.
Yeah. Also, I think in his...
That's how they see it.
I mean, this is...
I don't think that's that
Bill
crazy.
Gates is maybe not the best analogy on this, but, people like that, he's like, me taking a private jet or a jet flying around, like that is a very small sliver of all the things I do.
Well, that's what he's saying.
So he like look at it from the grand totality of all. Now, again, people think he's like literally the biggest monster.
But it's true. It's like, well, if you have that kind of mentality, it's like, well, then I don't want to hear about it from fucking. The problem is the people with that mentality. It's like they're the ones yelling at you, like, why are you doing this? And it's like, hey, I might be net negative. You don't know what I am.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I live in New York and I don't have a fucking car. How about that?
Oh, I'm
probably most people that like. Most like girls that like live in a normal place, they go, okay, well, you have a car. So right there, I beat you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We beat everybody who has a car.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're environmentalists.
Yes, when I'm flying around every weekend to different places to do stand-up comedy.
Private, for that matter.
Danny, just the farts alone, he's net positive. Just the methane alone that you're fucking putting out into the environment in your household, dude. The fucking clumps.
Doing damage over there.
That'd be funny if every time Bill Gates farts, everyone's like, this hypocrite.
Yeah, you fucking hypocrite.
It is, though. They set up such puritanical fucking, like, you know, things for themselves. It is like, I get, though, why people are like, you're a hypocrite. It's like, because you set up such a puritanical sort of situation.
And it's ridiculous. Yeah, like, you can't have any carbon. I don't know.
So anyways, she goes, he sat down, and I began dealing the cards, but I pushed mine away. This is an angry woman. Tell me you haven't been in this scenario? I actually felt it in my bones.
I know.
It's one of
I was rooting, like, in my mind, I was like, yes. And there is a point where
I know.
Yeah.
It's one of the dirtiest fossil fuels you could possibly burn, and it would be so easy to switch. You probably wouldn't even notice, other than maybe we'd actually be able to see at night. Why are you so resistant to doing something that's undeniably better for the earth? He said, I don't care about the carbon footprint of one measly lantern. He said, I like it and I'm not going to get rid of it. And she said, I hate that you're so apathetic. You're being ridiculous, he said. There was a sharp, loud quality to his voice that I've never heard before. That's called a point.
Yes.
That's a man's, that was the too much point.
Yeah, well, he's also like, holy, dude, nightmare scenario.
Fuck off.
Stuck on a boat.
You're on a boat.
A small boat.
I was getting angry thinking about it. You're just like, leave me the
leave
fuck
me-
you.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck
honestly,
off.
Just like, just toss her overboard. That's what I was thinking.
Just screw off. And then she goes, at this point, I uttered some sweeping generalizations about privileged men and their lack of empathy, which made him furious. I'd be fucking peaking at that point.
Privilege? We're both on a fucking boat right now.
Yeah. All that stuff, too, it's like, that part would be like, what privilege do I have that you don't? Like, if you want to say that, like, yes, you've made it your identity that you care more about dumbass shit like this. No. This is not about privilege. This is an identity that you are
of course. But the problem is he has
yourself.
that pretty much identity too. So he has to really.
If anything, if I had this guy's ace in a hole, I'd be like, bitch, I've done way more for the environment than you. I am. If anything, if you're this guy, I'd be like, are you kidding me right now?
Do you think he knew?
I can
the
have
whole
80
time?
of these lamps. I'm still dummying you in environmental.
Do you think he knew though? We're not gonna give away quite the reveal yet.
No, not necessarily. That's possibly not true. At this point, I used sweeping generalizations. I tried to explain in 6 different ways why this was important to me and why the impending collapse of the natural world should be an explanation enough for why I was upset. Oh my God. If I was in an argument with a girl and she goes, I shouldn't have to explain to you why I'm upset. Maybe the pending collapse of our society.
Yeah.
I'd be flipping tables, bro.
Except for that on a boat, they're all bolted down.
I would have had it up to here, pal.
Yeah, no, I just walk off the boat. I just literally walk off into the fucking water.
Do the running man?
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, you just keep running.
Later, bitch.
Bye. Get yourself back. Tip the lamp over.
Yeah.
Fucking go overboard. Tried to explain in 6 different ways why I was upset, but I was doing it with rage in my voice and it was coming out all wrong. So she's starting to have some introspection after the fact. After hours of fruitless back and forth, I was on the verge of tears. Of course you were. The situation felt entirely irreconcilable. I knew that I'd taken it too far, blah, blah, blah. Still, I was worried about the issue. So I'm going to skip to what you're talking about. Our political leanings were more or less the same. We had the same dreams for the future. It was a strange space for me to navigate. It was at this point, Doug said it was possible. It wasn't even fueled by kerosene.
He knew.
And he goes, he knew.
I think he knew the whole time.
He'd bought some, this was his ace in the hole. He bought it at the hardware store. We shoved aside a couch cushion and pulled the fuel bottle from the storage compartment. The words, paraffin lamp oil, appeared on blocky green font. When I Googled it, it said that this lamp oil was more refined than kerosene and lacks many of kerosene's impurities, making it relatively clean burning. So it was a huge win for the guy.
Like, again,
That'd
we're
be the best
talking
moment of your
about a
life.
single candle.
I know.
It's like she's acting like this is like you're lighting a building on fire. It's like
She's just like, why don't you agree with me on everything?
yeah, exactly.
And this guy put his foot down for once in his fucking measly environmental
Got
life.
a big win.
With fewer pollutants, with the added benefit of not having the unpleasant odor of kerosene. So at this point, this guy is winning. He's a champion. She looked at him, dumbfounded, and then stormed into the deck to do the dishes. I'd obviously lost, but when you spend an hour fighting about kerosene lamp that isn't powered by kerosene, nobody wins. Doug loves the ocean, and then also she at one point in the article starts saying like, but it still is a little bad, so we were kind of both right.
Take the L, lady.
So it was sort of a win for him.
Why the fuck is this in the New York Times, by the way?
That's the New York Times. Well, to be honest, though, I thought it was
they
a
lost
good...
their check mark.
In some ways, I thought it was a good article because she sort of realized a little bit that, like, okay, I was a little bit over the top there. And then more so, you know what? In general, if we want to live kind of a clean lifestyle, I can't be like a naggy bitch on every little point. And she sort of came to realization. It was the first article I've seen in a while where the girl sort of said, like, okay, I was a little bit out of control there. And I was just like... Nice.
Yeah, you need what, a 2,000-word article to be like, I'm a little out of control here? This is a little fucking,
you know what?
kind of self-masturbatory.
I'll take this over the article that ends with, and that's why I broke up with him.
Yeah.
And my new boyfriend doesn't even wear clothes. He's so environmental.
My new girlfriend.
Yeah.
The way I do.
And my new girlfriend, we live in a dumpster. So so I actually preferred this ending.